Exclusive! New Tottenham CEO has met with Qatari takeover contenders many times as Daniel Levy seeks £3.75 billion deal. Welcome back to Tottenham News Today channel. Daniel Levy is an all-seeing eye at Tottenham, and when it comes to matters on or off the field, the buck stops with him. That is why Daniel Levy in the world of football finance is the gold standard. For fans whose litmus test for success is silverware, however, the Spurs chairman and co-owner is an anchor weighing down the North London club. Protests against ENIC's ownership of the club have intensified this season for obvious reasons. But one subplot has been Levy's continued search for new investment in Tottenham. The club confirmed well over a year ago that they were seeking either minority investment or a full takeover, although it looks like the former is the more likely. In truth, the hunt for new money in N17 has been going on for far longer. Several groups and individuals have been linked with buying into the club, from the worlds of sovereign wealth, private equity and beyond. For some time, Qatari investment has been mooted, and it would be a natural fit. The state of Qatar already owns half of London and a club which is underperforming, with scope for a feel-good narrative, but has a global pulse would align with the Gulf nation's investment ambitions. Daniel Levy's £3.75 billion valuation could be a sticking point, as the Qataris proved with their failed bid for Man United that they won't be held to ransom. However, if the Qataris are willing to engage at Levy's price point, the addition of a new executive in North London could prove valuable. New Spurs chief Vinai Venkatesham closed with Nasser Al-Khelaifi. When news emerged that Vinai Venkatesham had been named Spurs' new CEO, the headlines naturally gravitated towards his former allegiances to Arsenal. But one other line on his CV is equally interesting. For several years up until his departure from the Emirates in the summer, he was the Gunners' representative in the European Club Association. Venkatesham was one of a select few who sat on the lobby group's executive committee, which saw him form close links not only with Levy but also Nasser Al-Khelaifi, head of Qatar Sports Investments. As well as owning PSG and Braga and being in negotiations for Braga, QSI have been heavily linked with Spurs over the years. Levy has reportedly met with Al-Khelaifi to discuss a possible investment in Spurs. Like Venkatesham, he is known to enjoy good relations with the QSI chief. Levy has reiterated in recent weeks that Spurs can only spend what they earn. That is in contrast to other clubs who have speculated to accumulate. At the likes of Aston Villa, Newcastle United and Nottingham Forest, that strategy has borne fruit. But in Venkatesham, Spurs have an operative who is an advocate for the self-sufficient model. Nearly 6 years into their residency at their world-class stadium, Tottenham have not struck a naming rights deal for the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The likes of Amazon, Google, Meta, DHL and others have been linked with what the club hopes is a £25 million a year deal, but to no avail. The search for a partner who will pay top dollar and fit with the club's values was rocked by the departure of Chief Commercial Officer Todd Klein last year. However, with a new CEO in the building soon, the process could be kick-started again. One positive will be that another London venue, England Rugby's Twickenham, has struck a deal on very favourable terms in recent months. Allianz are paying £10 million per year over 13 years for the stadium's naming rights. As a newer stadium with greater exposure to offer a partner, Spurs should, in theory, be able to fetch more than that. Tottenham Hotspur have earmarked Crystal Palace boss Oliver Glasner as their prime choice to replace Ange Postecoglou after the season, journalist Callum Vurley has reported. The Lily-Whites have reportedly placed the Austrian tactician above fellow Premier League coaches Andoni Iraola, Marco Silva and Thomas Frank on their shortlist, as Postecoglou's future in North London looks increasingly uncertain. The Australian coach is facing mounting pressure after Tottenham's 4-2 defeat at Wolves last weekend, and is now seen as a firm favourite to become the next Premier League manager to be sacked. According to Vurley, Postecoglou is now on the brink of the sack at Spurs, and the club have already decided on a replacement, with Glasner topping their list of potential candidates. The incredible Austrian was on Tottenham's shortlist prior to Postecoglou's arrival in 2023, and had also been considered as a replacement for Antonio Conte. when he was still at Eintracht Frankfurt. Spurs chiefs have reportedly been impressed by Glasner's ability to develop players, with notable examples including Mark Guehi, Adam Wharton and Eberechi Eze. That wraps up today's update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay in the loop with all things Tottenham, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for our latest content. Be sure to give this video a like and share it with fellow Spurs supporters. Let's grow the Tottenham News Today community together. Thanks for tuning in, and as ever, come on you Spurs!